Welcome to another edition of Through My Lens. I'm your host, Karen Jackson, and today is a special day. We have in the studio Mrs. Valerie J. Coleman and Minister Daria Dillard Stone, also known as The Servant. And today is a special day. We are highlighting Women History Month, of course, and Valerie and I started a special series entitled Love Uncovered, Uncovering and Embracing the Power of Your Goody Box. So today, in honor of Women History Month and all the wonderful accomplishments of women and relationships, we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. And so I'm excited to be sitting here with these wonderful ladies, and I want to take a few moments. But before we go further, let's take a little time, and why don't you ladies introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Daria Dillard Stone, the servant, and that title is one that God gave me. So any other title that comes behind that, yes, I am an international motivational speaker. Yes, I am a mentor, and I am a parent advocate consultant. Those are great, and I thank God for that. But more than anything, I'm a servant, which makes me unlimited in whatever God wants me to do. So today I'm excited to be in the studio with Karen Jackson of Embrace Your Power, and Valerie Lewis Coleman, both of my spiritual daughters, talking about the Goody Box. I bought that book long time ago, and it still excites me. And I look forward to talking with you some more.
Thank you, Mama D. As Karen said, I am lovingly called the Goody Box Lady. And what I do is serve women who struggle to experience a fulfilling relationship, to attract and keep lasting love, and by revealing the forbidden secrets of the Goody Box. And as a result, what I've been able to do is help women change their lives. I mean, they've come to me and literally told me, after I read your book, I started behaving differently when it came to men, and now I'm engaged, or now I'm getting married, or now I'm happily single. So I'm excited for the opportunity to share with your listening audience and with being here with Mama D to empower women with relationship advice that they would be crazy to ignore in honor of Women's History Month.
Well, I am really excited to start this conversation. We started last month talking to a couple about rebuilding relationships, because we know that we're all imperfect human beings, and so things happen in relationships. And so, but today we want to go just a little deeper. And so what I want to start the conversation first is ask you, each one of you, what is the worst relationship advice that you ever received? And what would be your response now as a result of knowing that that was the worst relationship advice you received?
Great question. And since I co-authored the book Success Powered by Relationships, I do know that there are some powerful things that you can do that you would not never do again. But the worst advice I was given from the era that I came from, watching my grandmother and my aunts and my mom, was a man has to pay the cost to be the boss. And as long as that man is bringing home the bacon and provides a shelter over you, you should not get upset if they cheat on you. That's just a man. I knew that that was not going to work for me. But looking back, I have to consider now, 2019, fast forward, I understand why they said that. That's what they knew in that era. That's what they were told. And it may have worked because women did not work like women do now. Women did not have the opportunities that women do now. And a lot of time the breadwinner was the man. So it was kind of like, since he paid the cost to be the boss, you let him be the boss, whether he's right, wrong, or indifferent. That's not how relationships are, and that's not how they should be. But to answer your question, yeah, that was the advice I remember hearing. But today, I would never give anybody that advice.
The worst advice I received, I would say, and I can't think of any one specific incident, but I would say more than anything is taking advice from women who are hurt, wounded, tainted. They feel betrayed. They feel vulnerable. They feel that they were taken advantage of. And when I take or listen to advice from those women in that mindset, it's usually bad advice. And as a result, if I move in action based off of things that they've said that is not necessarily the right advice or in good space for me, it causes more problems. It causes a ripple in the relationship. So like I tell women as they read the Goody Box book, if you listen to the advice from your mom, your sisters, and your girlfriends, but they're coming from a place of hurt, it's not going to be good advice.
How important is the value that you put on yourself important in the relationship?
It's very important, and Valerie made a great point about advice coming from a woman in various mindsets. That's a scornful woman. A lot of times you don't want to talk to a scornful woman, but if you don't value yourself from jump, if you already have self-esteem issues, for whatever the reason that you have them, then a man especially can manipulate you more than if you were like me. What do you mean, Miss Daria, when you say like me? Glad you asked. I mean that because I learned from watching other women, other men in relationships. I made up my mind as a little girl what I would and would not accept once I got grown and was in my own relationship. And it helped me to become the woman and the wife that I was, even the mother to my children. It's just certain things that it's not debatable. I just won't deal with it or tolerate it. But at the same time, I had to learn to be quiet, being silent. When you value yourself, you don't always have to justify why you are who you are. You just be quiet, and silence can be loud.
So when it comes to worth, if you don't recognize your worth and value who you are, the people around you are going to have the same level of worth toward you. Dr. Phil said we teach people how to treat us. So if I am abusing myself, if I mistreat myself, if I don't love myself, I am going to attract people who don't love me, who will mistreat me, and who will take advantage of me. And at the end of the day, and some people feel like, well, you're not supposed to be all in love with yourself. And we're not saying this hubris, this state of pride and conceit in love with yourself, but love yourself enough to know what is acceptable to you and what is not acceptable to you. Setting boundaries. Oftentimes people who don't love themselves get into bad relationships. They get into bad situations because they haven't really counted up the cost. And I deserve more. I'm worth more. I have value. So Dr. Townsend and I did a session with some young ladies coming out of foster care called Values, Vision, and Virtue. And it was really about empowering those young ladies to recognize their worth. And, we value different parts. If I don't make a lot of money, then I can't be valuable. If I don't have cute hair, then I must not be valuable. But the value of who you are comes from within, and it projects outwardly. You may look better because you've got this nice outfit on or this new hair, but that doesn't necessarily identify who you are and what you're worth. So I really believe for women it's important to value themselves so that they can attract a quality person, because at the end of the day, we are magnetic beings. We attract and we repel. So if I want to attract good into my life, I have to first be good. But if I'm depressed, if I'm angry, if I'm disappointed, that's what I'm going to attract into my life. We seem like some people always, every time you turn around, something bad keeps happening to this one. Bad keeps happening. Now, sometimes that's just God's plan for our lives. He does what he wants to do. He's sovereign. He does what he wants to do. However, for some people, they keep attracting that into their lives because of the things they say to themselves and the way they think and feel about themselves, and they're going to attract. Absolutely attract that negative energy. Well, I'm all about making a shift. I'm making a mindset shift because it starts in the mind. When I change my mind, I change the people around me will automatically change, because those, like Mama Daria said, everybody can't go where you're going. And as the elevation gets higher, some folks going to pass out. And I'm okay with that, because you weren't supposed to be in my circle anyway. So I have to let God do what he's going to do. And in the process of me falling in love with myself and valuing who I am, it's either going to force the people around me to have that same level of respect for me, or they're going to drop off.
I want to comment on that falling in love part. Falling is an action word. That ing means you have to do it over and over, because sometimes in life there may be an instance where you don't feel like loving you, and then you wonder why things keep happening to you or people don't love you. When you don't love you, it's hard for other people to love you. Women are talking about all the time, can't find the right man, he won't do this, he won't do that. Then I go to their apartment or their home, and it looks like something on that should be on hoarders. Yeah, like herd's been in there too. I'm trying to say hoarders, and then they don't cook, and that's just it with a banquet dinner or some kind of frozen food. But you want a man to do this and that, but you got to do all that before that man comes. You got to do that before that woman comes. Are you ready for a relationship? Are you ready to get a good man? Do you know how to treat one? Well, if you don't treat your body right, if you don't do the right things for your mind, if you don't talk right to yourself, then you're used to being abused. You're used to being cussed out. Listen to the music that we listen to now, how the young ladies are called beat. You know what they called. And people dancing on the dance floor and loving and laughing at? Nah, that means that you actually regard yourself as that what that music says, and you act like it. So if somebody's calling you the word that starts with a W, then you act like one, because words have power. You speak life or death when you speak words, and what you think about yourself will show up in the way you act. Skinny, overweight, underweight, tall, dark, light, no money, some money. Love you, and then the rest will come. It's just a process of falling in love with you, and you just have to do that. It's a lot of work, but you got to do it. If nobody affirms you, learn to affirm yourself. And if you read the word, it tells us that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. What part of that don't you understand? If God said it, then it is so. Amen.
Because of what we say, and I even think about sometimes even the energy level of people. You've been in a place where that energy is like, either I want some of that, or oh no, I need that energy away from me. It's important for us to realize that how we show up, and not just physically, like you guys were saying, emotionally, spiritually. What are we saying? How are we even communicating with not just men, but women in general? Really, people in general, that attracts certain things to us. Elaborate a little bit more on that.
Okay, well, first of all, Karen, I give your audience permission to seek third-party help. There is nothing wrong with going to a counselor, a therapist, somebody who is skilled and qualified to help us move past these emotional and mental issues. Because what we do, especially in the Black community, the Black Christian community, you haven't prayed long enough, you haven't fasted long enough. What goes on in this house stays in this house. And we are held hostage. We are in bondage to our traumas, our disappointments, our frustrations, because we don't seek somebody who's qualified to not just talk about it, but then give us usable strategies and techniques to move past it. So I go to Chanel Wilson. She helps you find it, fix it, and forgive it. Chanel is themom.com. Let me tell you, she's changing my life. And so with that, I think, and she talks a lot about energy, because what we don't understand, the body is a very complicated and miraculous tool. And God knew what he was doing when he put us together, because he has us identified as mind, body, and soul. And we're okay with, if my stomach hurts, I'm going to the doctor. If my fingernails ain't right, I'm going to the nail tech. If I need to get my hair done, I'm going to the stylist. But when my heart's not right, not physically not right, but when I have a pain that's causing me some type of anguish, mental or emotional, for some reason, we don't want to go to a doctor or a therapist who can help us. So I give your audience permission to do that. I'm doing it. Mama D, did you say? Okay.
I'm not ashamed. Chanel Wilson is thebomb.com. And oh my gosh, she has opened me up to things that they were deep down inside that were causing me trauma. And it was just me and myself and I having the trauma, because nobody else knew, because I just hadn't faced it.
Absolutely. And there are things that are residing in the recesses of our mind that dictate what we say, what we do, and what we think. And if we don't know those things are there, they hinder us. They block us. They block our productivity. They block our prosperity. They block our relationships. And so if you can break through those things and move past those hurts, those disappointments, you can then have a more fulfilling life. And it's all about energy. We are magnetic beings. We are, and when you think about neutrons and protons, I'm an engineer, but I'm not about to go into all that. Protons, neutrons, and electrons, our bodies are made up of they talk about the brain synapses and how it fires off energy when you have different things happen. The heart impulse is caused by energy. And so if our energy is flawed in any way, it affects how our organs work. It affects how we think. It affects us. And when you have a life trauma, it affects you on a cellular level. Your DNA shifts. It's been scientifically proven. A daughter, if she has a trauma, the child she's carrying experiences that trauma, and then the daughter, because she carries her eggs in her, that child, those kids experience the trauma. Right? It's a past. But the Bible talks about generational curses. We're born in sin and shaped in iniquity. Exactly. And some of that comes from the transference of these generational curses and issues that we haven't dealt with. So I say deal with them. We are energetic beings. So you want to be, like you talked about, high energy. When you walk into the room, do people light up when they see you, or do they feel like, oh Lord, here she come. This one, what's about to happen now? We know she about to get it jumped off. I don't want that said about me, because I don't want my grandbabies to see any aspect of anything like that about me. And so yes, do the work, like Iyanla says and Mama D said, do the work to be better. We have to be kind to ourselves first, and then other people. It'll resonate to other people. Okay, then I'm about to pass the microphone. If we think about Queen Esther, when Queen Esther was going through her process of preparation to meet the man who was already her husband, she spent a year getting prepared tired to go see her husband. She wanted time with the king. So they were dousing her with all these fragrant oils and bathing her and providing her and training her and preparing her so that when she got the audience with him, he would receive what she had to say. But what a lot of people don't think about is the byproduct of her getting better and doing better for herself. Everybody around her benefited. Yeah, everybody around her benefited. She smelled better. If you smell better and you feel better and you look better, you're going to act better. You're going to think better. It changes your mindset. It changes everybody around you, because what bounces off of you bounces off of somebody else. So yes, energy, yes, do the work.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Through My Lens, a 15-minute perspective of purposeful and powerful living strategies. I'm your host, Karen Jackson. And until next time, remember to keep rising and shining as we live in purpose, with purpose, and on purpose. God bless.